As our days evolve, so do the stories across Central Florida. And every step of the way, WESH 2 News is here, covering the moments that challenge us, inspire us, define us. As our communities move forward, we'll continue to share the important facts that shape what's next. Each night at 6, this is the place to stay connected. WESH 2 News. Local, live, late-breaking.
This is an important election announcement. You can register right now to vote in the upcoming presidential election. Go to iwillvote.com and register to vote right now.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
WESH 2 News starts now with breaking news.
Breaking news on WESH News at 4. President Donald Trump going back to the White House tonight as another member of his staff tests positive for COVID-19. We are monitoring the situation at Walter Reed Hospital.
The clock is ticking. If you want to be able to vote next month, you have to be registered by tonight. What options you have left at this hour?
And heating back up. There are new systems to watch in the tropics, but will they have an impact here in Central Florida? But first, let's get to that breaking news. President Trump has been very active on social media while being treated for COVID-19. And it was through a tweet that we learned he will be leaving Walter Reed tonight around 6:30.
Meanwhile, another member of his team, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany, says that she is now tested positive. Mary Maloney brings us up to speed on everyone who is sick and what's next for the president. We will be following the president's COVID-19 care. Stay with WESH 2 News for updates on his condition. And when he leaves Walter Reed, you will get an alert from the WESH 2 News app. You can also get updates online at WESH.com.
Weather-wise, we are turning our attention to the tropics once again after a nice little break with nothing to really worry about. But now things are heating back up. Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi shows us what the First Alert Weather Team is watching for right now.
Well, I tell you what, as we take a look now at the wide perspective here, we've got two tropical storms, one in Gamma and then the other in Delta. Delta is going to be the one that we're going to have to watch. We think there's going to be enough wind shear with Gamma that this one is going to take its toll on it, the wind shear, and then weaken. But it's going to pave the path, we do believe, for Delta. Let's begin now here with Gamma. Talk about what's going to be happening. We do believe that this is going to weaken while overland the peninsula here, and then may try to curve back to the north. So long term, we'll have to watch it. Short term, though, we definitely think it's going to weaken. Look at the wind shear. All the convection, the thunderstorms with it have been ripped off towards the north and the east. But we do have tropical storm warnings and watches up now as it is in close proximity to the peninsula. Now, some of the models want to pull this back to the north with time. We'll have to wait and see if it can survive the peninsula. A bigger concern, though, is Delta. Now, Delta is getting better organized today and is getting stronger while moving off to the west. We think that's going to be temporary. We think that's going to begin to move northwestward, move into some very warm waters into the heart of Gulf of Mexico. And then as a front comes in towards the weekend, we'll begin to pull this more quickly towards the north and the east. But because of that, we'll have to keep a very close eye on the northern Gulf. We're also keeping an eye on Cuba. We have hurricane warnings now up for the northwestern peninsula there of Havana. A very good model agreement, by the way, on Delta into the northern Gulf. We'll talk more about that. I'm going to show you both the Euro and the GFS American models, what their scenarios are coming up a little bit later on. Guys, back to you.
All right, Tony, thank you. Commitment 2020 today is all about registering to vote. Today is the last day that you can do so in Florida in order to vote next month. WESH's Megan Mulatto walks us through the options and how much time you have left for each one.
A state group that has gained national attention for its fight to restore voting rights for convicted felons announced a very important milestone today. Leaders with the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition were in Orlando this morning, and they held a symbolic $1.5 million check that will go to the Orange County Clerk of Courts. The money will cover the fines and fees of 1.5 million felons who've served their time but can't vote until their court fees are cleared. The group says paying the fees also benefits the courts, which have lost revenue from the coronavirus shutdowns.
What you have here is a situation in which we have revenue coming in to the court systems to fund things like teen court, the victim compensation fund, our public defender's office, and those are valuable resources for the community. And in doing so, we're also protecting taxpayers.
FRRC estimates 1,500 returning citizens in Orange County will be able to vote in this presidential election as a result of having their court obligations paid. WESH 2 will continue bringing you Commitment 2020 coverage before, during, and after the November election. If you miss our stories and updates on air, you can always find them inside WESH.com. A second juror is sharing concerns about the Breonna Taylor case. What this person is now requesting the Attorney General do about it.
A second NFL game is postponed because of COVID-19. Hear the action the league is taking to try and stop more outbreaks.
And next, we are getting more clarity about those thousands of announced layoffs at Disney World, who this will impact, and how many people may be able to get their jobs back in the future.
Sunrise at the beach. Severe weather on the horizon. Whatever comes your way.
I'm here to help you take on the day.
From what's happening now to an hour-by-hour look ahead, Kellyanne combines the latest technology with the passion to get it right.
Because accuracy is the key to help you plan, prepare, and be ready.
First Alert meteorologist Kellyanne Class. The morning forecast certified most accurate. Take on the day with WESH 2 News Sunrise.
Breaking news alerts, live newscasts, and interactive radar. Download the WESH 2 News app today.
Closed captioning is sponsored by the law offices of Attorney Dan Newland.
Thousands of workers at Disney are waiting anxiously for word about whether they will be losing their jobs.
The unions are in talks with the company right now, hoping to save as many jobs as possible. WESH 2's Bob Hazen tells us that some of them are starting to find out how deep the cuts will go.
All right, otherwise, we are starting to heat up once again. Chief Meteorologist Tony Maloffi joins us right now. We do have some rain in the forecast as well, Tone.
We do. And in fact, we're going to have some summertime thunderstorms this week as temperatures the next few days will be right around 90, 91 degrees. A live look in over towards the airport. No delays right now because of any rain. Cloudy skies. A temperature here of 85 degrees. You can see the upper level wind shear just taking the thunderstorms away from our tropical storm Gamma and pulling it towards the northeastern Gulf of Mexico, very close to central Florida. While that's going on, there's our next developing tropical storm. That is Delta. That's the one we're really going to have to watch. But for us here locally, some of that moisture with Gamma is being pulled north. In fact, so far north that the majority of the rains today have missed central Florida. So we did get pretty lucky with that. And we do have hurricane warnings and watches up for the northwestern tip of Cuba. Very good model agreement here into the northern Gulf. I'm working on, again, a couple of those long-range forecasts for you. I'm hoping to have that for you at 4:48. Summertime, though, that's going to be the theme here locally as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. A few isolated late-day showers and storms as that tropical moisture lives farther to the north there by Friday and Saturday. And Sunday, rain chances really begin to go up.
Winter is coming, and scientists don't have great things to say about it when it comes to COVID-19. Their projections and new guidance just released from the CDC. Then zip code concerns. New York City's mayor is worried about certain areas, how he's responding to try and slow the spread of the virus again.
Closed captioning is sponsored by Advent Health.
New York's mayor wants to reinstate coronavirus shutdowns in several parts of the city. Mayor Bill de Blasio has identified 9 zip codes, including parts of Brooklyn and Queens, where new cases are rising. The shutdowns could start as early as Wednesday. They would include schools, stores, and gyms. The measure would also mean restaurants will be limited to takeout and delivery only.
This is to make sure that this virus does not spread more deeply in those communities and threaten lives, and that it does not spread to the rest of the city. So it's a measure I think we have to take to contain the situation before it gets any worse.
City officials say they're also keeping a close watch on 11 other zip codes.
There's some good news and some bad news regarding new COVID-19 cases from country to country. Worldwide, there have been more than 35.3 million confirmed infections during this pandemic. More than 1 million people have died from the virus. India just recently recorded its 100,000th coronavirus death. But so far this month, the number of new daily cases has actually shown a declining trend. The Indian Ministry of Health says the number of patients recovered daily has exceeded the number of new cases since September 19th. Meanwhile, the greater Paris area is being classified as a maximum alert zone. Paris bars will be closing as a result of that. Restaurants can stay open with certain restrictions. The measures will be implemented for 15 days and then reassessed after that.
The fashion world is now navigating through a new normal during this pandemic. Masks, temperature checks, and hand cleaning were the main theme during this year's Paris Fashion Week. There were also major cuts to the guest list. A big-name designer like Dior, for example, would normally invite 1,500 people. This season, it was only 350, all socially distant.
The situation changed. Every day we need to change our dispositif. Every day we maybe need to adapt. But we're young, we're small, we're very agile, and we adapt ourselves in a very positive way.
Fashion houses which held physical shows were in the minority. Most designers this year only showed their creations online.
It's a new term for the Supreme Court, but justices hit the ground running on their first day back. The big task ahead of them, which has some worried for the health of our nation's leaders. And coming to the Cape, why Elon Musk is planning a visit sometime this week. You're watching WESH 2 News at 4.
WESH 2 traffic updates are driven by Toyota of Orlando and Toyota of Claremont.
WESH 2 News continues.
You may have seen the new hashtags Scrubtober or Scrubtoberfest. They're trending after a series of rocket launch scrubs on the Space Coast. And now SpaceX CEO Elon Musk says he is paying a visit to Cape Canaveral.
And don't forget, we are now less than a month away from sending astronauts to space again. WESH 2's Paul Rivera looked into what these recent issues could mean for that important launch.
Call it Scrubitis too. Scrubtober, we had Scrub September, now we have Scrub October.
SpaceX says they will be trying another launch tomorrow morning at 7:29 after canceling the one today because of weather. We are following some breaking news. President Trump says that he is leaving Walter Reed for the White House tonight. The president has been receiving care for his COVID-19 infection since Friday afternoon. He tested positive the night before. First Lady Melania Trump said earlier today that she will stay at the White House until she feels better. She also tested positive for the virus last week. The president says that he's leaving the hospital around 6:30. We will bring you any new updates as the night goes on. Part of the president's treatment has been the drug remdesivir. It is available to many patients under emergency use. Tim Callery reports on some of the results from one of the nationwide trials on the drug's effectiveness. President Trump's treatment with remdesivir began after his positive coronavirus diagnosis, which again was made public last week.
And once again, the Centers for Disease Control is updating its guidance on how the coronavirus actually spreads, specifically whether or not airborne transmission is possible. WESH 2's Jim Payne is standing by to explain what's new. Jim?
This is similar to what the CDC posted last month before removing the information from its website. Now it's back, and there are a few big takeaways. The agency says there's evidence people with COVID-19 are able to infect others from more than 6 feet away. The CDC says the airborne transmission is similar to the spread of infections like tuberculosis, measles, and chickenpox. In these particular cases, transmissions happened within enclosed places that didn't have good ventilation. The examples the CDC provides are people who were breathing heavily while singing or exercising. And while it's now believed someone can be infected from virus particles lingering in the air, what isn't clear is how long the virus remains. In the examples that I mentioned, the CDC says some people became infected shortly after the person with COVID-19 left the area. Last month, the CDC removed guidance about possible airborne transmission, saying it was a draft that was posted in error. Back to you, Mayor.
Jim, thank you. By the end of December, COVID-19 could kill more than 2,900 people a day. Scientists from the University of Washington are predicting this. The last time the U.S. saw daily death totals that high was back in mid-May. It will be tough where the weather is cold and people are indoors more often where there is poor ventilation. Flu season has also started, and having one of the two viruses could make you more vulnerable to getting infected with the other. Scientists are also watching outbreaks in schools and universities, and people loosening up in places where new cases have trended downwards. So how do we prevent this fall and winter surge? The experts say to stay outside if you can, wear your mask, and if you visit family or friends, do it carefully. Also, they're suggesting finding alternative ways to celebrate the holidays without big indoor gatherings. Right now, leaders in Orange County are giving an update on their response to COVID-19. Today's update also includes new details on tourism development from the county's comptroller. We'll have a recap ahead on WESH 2 News at 6.
We are just 2 days away from the vice presidential debate. Vice President Mike Pence and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris will meet Wednesday night. No vice president has ever debated while the president is known to be sick and still in the hospital. The stakes are suddenly a lot higher given Trump's diagnosis. Analysts also note the president's performance while on stage last week with Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is campaigning today in South Florida. Before he boarded his flight, he was asked about the president's health and how it might impact their next debate. Biden's wife, Jill, actually pulled him back from reporters for more social distance as he answered their questions.
If the doctors listen to the science, if the scientists say that, if the scientists say that it's safe and the distances are safe, then I think that's fine. I'll do whatever the experts say is the appropriate thing to do.
The next presidential debate is on the 15th in Miami. There have been no changes announced since the president's diagnosis. And if you are not registered to vote, the deadline is today. You must do it in person at your county's election or tax collection office by 5 o'clock. Or online before midnight. You can find all the details on how to register or how to check your voter status inside WESH.com.
A lot of movie theaters in Central Florida are about to close, and this time maybe for good. We'll take a closer look at the sad state at the movies. And a death-defying rescue involving a hiker and a first responder. The video showing just how dangerous the job can be. That story's next.
Wednesday, a WESH 2 News special.
Toxic relationship between law enforcement and communities of color.
They shot my son 7 times.
We're angry! It's not something that's new.
My skin color did not change when I put the uniform on.
I feel like our voice is being heard.
A WESH 2 News special on race and policing, Wednesday at 8.
Regal Cinemas is closing theaters again, and many of the locations are here in Central Florida.
That's right. So what happened? WESH 2's Michelle Meredith reports there were still safety concerns, and also a huge movie release theaters were banking on got pushed back.
In many ways, the news was not unexpected, but still jarring. Regal Theaters, the second largest chain in the U.S., will temporarily close its doors on Thursday. The move comes after reopening less than 2 months after the pandemic forced the shutdown of all 536 locations. People we talked to were not surprised.
You have your cinema, you have your movies at home. This big, huge screen TV is giving me a fabulous job of producing the movies right in front of you. So much more convenient. So I'm thinking it's just coming a little sooner than expected.
Experts say one thing they believe did not help Regal Theaters is the fact that the big James Bond movie that was supposed to be released this year has been pushed back till next year. And the next big release is Wonder Woman in December. The folks at Aloma Cinema Grill feel their pain. The neighborhood movie theater in Winter Park does not enjoy the power and backing of a theater chain, but yet has managed to survive.
You can tell when people come that they're happy to be somewhere.
The theater has a full kitchen, is set up with tables, every other one closed, and with consumer options dwindling, Regal's closing could drive business their way.
I think if people want to go out, that they will come here because we are going to be the nearest thing that is open as far as a movie.
Meanwhile, the fate of Regal Cinema is not known. As 7,000 screens go dark across the nation, tens of thousands of their employees join the ranks of those furloughed. Michelle Meredith, WESH 2 News.
An amazing rescue in the Colorado mountains helped to show the dangers first responders face in the sky. A climber was reported to be injured at the top of the Cresto Needle Rock Formation. That's about 14,000 feet up. A joint operation between the Colorado Hoist Rescue Team and the Colorado National Guard was then launched, sending a crew into the air.
The helicopter is heavy, and they're flying close to the wall.
So it's really precision flying.
This is incredible video. Well, the team lowered the rescuer that you just heard onto a tiny path to reach the trapped hiker. They were both then hoisted to safety in truly just death-defying fashion. Wow, incredible there. Chief Meteorologist Tony Manolfi joining us on this Monday afternoon. Tone, what can we expect outside?
Well, I'll tell you what's plenty cloudy out there, and if you walked outside, you felt the difference in the environment. A little more humidity out there today, feeling more like summer. 83 over in Melbourne, mostly cloudy, wind east-northeast. Look at that dew point. 78 degrees. We get that in the middle of summer. Look at the visible satellite presentation. So a lot to watch with this storm system. And as we take a look now at our local forecast here, notice those temperatures through Thursday around 90. Rain chances going up heading into the weekend. WESH 2 News at 4 will continue here in just a minute.
WESH 2 First Alert Weather is brought to you by the Pendas Law Firm.
The National Zoo had a wild gender reveal recently.
They did. It was for its newest panda cub. Go ahead and check it out.
Are you ready?
I am.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, it's another boy.
Team Boy. The National Zoo in Washington, D.C. got the news about 2 weeks ago. They shared the update using a painting done by the cub's father. Now, vets say the panda cub is strong and healthy.
So cute. WESH News at 5 is straight ahead.
Jim Payne joins us now with what's coming up in the next hour. Jim?
It's been a very active hurricane season, and it's not over yet. We are tracking the tropics ahead at 5, tracking a storm that is setting its sights on the Gulf Coast. The commander-in-chief says he's coming home after spending 4 days in the hospital with coronavirus. More on the president's condition and the growing list of his staff who are coming down with COVID-19. A local father who lost his son in a hit-and-run accident on the water is renewing his demands for answers. And the man who dedicated his life to change is hoping to create more while he's still pushing hard for felon voting rights. Next at 5.
Closed captioning is sponsored by Rubenstein Law. Injured? Call 1-800-FL-LEGAL.